So this video covers a few different types of questions that you can see. And so the range is from uh, main idea to point of view, which are very similar, to inferences and sequences of events. So we'll look at each of them here. This will be a pretty brief video. Um, okay, so with main idea or point of view. So in these, you're going to get a passage, so most likely a paragraph or maybe two paragraphs at the most. Um, and then they're going to ask you essentially what was the main idea, what was the point of view. So really simply, the only real thing you want to take away here is you always want to you don't want to read the passage and then read the questions, right? Because in a lot of cases, then you have to go back and you end up wasting time, and it can take time away from other things. So what you want to make sure that you do is, whether it's one question or if there's a couple of questions, is make sure you understand what it is that you're looking for, and so then you can be, as you're reading the passage, be much more focused on what it is you're looking for. Helps to answer the questions more efficiently, meaning more quickly. Okay, with inferences, really the main thing, people do miss these questions more than you might think, but making sure that you have in your mind that infer means to guess or to speculate, right? And so it needs to be something that's not clearly spelled out in the text, right? So if something is actually stated in the text, that can't be an inference. And as you were looking at implicit versus explicit, same thing. It's almost always going to be what did the author imply in this passage, right? Explicit again is actually stated. And we just have a quick little example down here on this third bullet point, right? So I'll read it. The shrinking of the money supply greatly exacerbated the economic situation. Okay, and then followed by saying this is an implication that the Federal Reserve should have increased the supply of money. So you could reasonably come to that conclusion based on the information we have just with that quote. And so again, it implies it, but it's because it's not actually stated, right? But we could reasonably guess that was what the author was trying to say. Okay, and then sequences of events. Okay, so in these, with sequences of events, you'll usually get like 4 or 5 sentences that are out of order, and then they want you to order them from beginning to end. Like fairly obvious, but sometimes people can miss this. So if you obviously, if something says first, that's the first sentence. But if you see something like to begin with, that's another common one. That's good. That's your sign that that's the first sentence. Something that says finally, lastly, things like that, that's going to be the last sentence. So like in this example, say there are 4 sentences and one sentence started with to begin with, another sentence started with second, another sentence started with lastly, and then there was another sentence that just looked like a regular sentence, didn't give you anything, right? Is just by knowing what the other 3 sentences are, the sentence that would just look like a normal sentence would have to be third, right? Because we know the other ones are first, second, and last, right? So if there's 4 sentences, that one would be third. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's really all you got to know for these. Really, they're pretty straightforward, and if you understand what we did in this video, you'll do great.